this is the second time in the last few years that there have been 10 head coaching openings. 2022,
Incredible.
there were 10 of them. And I guess this would be a buyer beware kind of thing for young, up-and-coming coaches. Here's a look at those openings back in 2022 and who they were filled by just 4 years ago. Todd Bowles, Buccaneers, he's still there. Josh McDaniels was a hotshot coordinator. He was the Raiders head coach. Dennis Allen was the Saints head coach. They're both gone. Nathaniel Hackett, another hotshot OC. Broncos, he's gone. Mike McDaniel was a hotshot OC. He's the Dolphins head coach. He's gone. Kevin O'Connell, there's one that worked out really well. Brian Dable, offensive coordinator, just got fired by the Giants. Doug Peterson had been around, fired by the Jaguars. Matt Eberflus was a hotshot coordinator, got the Bears head coaching job. He's gone. Lovie Smith had been around. So you look at that. That was just 2022. So that's not that long ago. And there are only two guys. One of them was a little bit older in Bowles and O'Connell, who were still with their team. A lot of those were the up-and-coming guys that we're talking about now. When there's that many head coaching openings, the pool of guys that are going to be successful isn't very big.
No doubt. I mean, 2 for 10. That's my math was never very good. My verbal scores were always much higher, but that's 200 in the Mendoza line, and that's not a good batting average, whether it's in baseball or the NFL. So yeah, I agree with you, David. I mean, it's amazing, the lack of the impatience, I should say, by a lot of these NFL owners now. And let's be honest, it's an entertainment business.
Yep.
And I think you're finding in a lot of these markets that, the fan, whether it's disinterest or dissatisfaction, is really pushing these owners into making very, very rash and radical decisions in a short period of time. I mean, we've experienced some of that here in Cleveland. I mean, I think it's a blessing now when you consider that you managed to hang on to the same head coach here for 6 years. I mean, that's about as long as it gets anymore. But let's be honest, I think in the NFL now, if you're not winning, and what I mean by winning is getting to the playoffs and getting yourself close to a championship within 3 or 4 years, you're gone. That's just the way it is now. And whether that's right or whether that's wrong, that's just the way it is. And these billionaire owners, it's their teams. They make these decisions. In some cases, I think there are so many variables at play that that play into whether or not a coach is successful. So yeah, you're right, Dave. I mean, you look at these guys 4 years ago, and they were all the hot commodities, and some of them are barely hanging on to jobs in the league now at any level.
Yeah, the other thing would be. Kevin Stefanski was a young guy, and they got that one. They got it right. Important to note, they didn't hire him the year before, and they went with Freddie Kitchens, but they hadn't gotten a head coaching hire right before Kevin Stefanski. So I just have a lot of concern the way this franchise power structure is set up, and it's evolving and changing now with the. Chief strategy officer, DePodesta, leaving. It's changing.
Yeah, DePodesta gone, yeah.
But a young guy who's never been a head coach, who you're going to, especially if it's an offensive guy, call the plays, develop the quarterback, be a head coach. You're asking a lot from somebody that's not done it before.
Yeah, and to your point, and I'll interject with, Kevin Stefanski's still a young guy, right? He's only 43 years old, and obviously he's got 6 years now of experience and landed in a really nice situation down in Atlanta. So, yeah, it's that's why when I hear these names of, Udansky and, being 30 years old and, hey, you could be the brightest guy from the biggest Ivy school there is and the smartest guy in the room and all that, but until you've gone through it, until you've led an NFL team, you don't know. And I think it's really difficult for owners to maybe, put themselves out really out there on a limb sometimes and bringing in some of these young guys. So I think, the more proven, the better as far as I'm concerned. That doesn't mean the guy's got to be in his 50s or his 60s or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot of young guys. I mean, you look at the Sean McVays, and I think that's the kind of the model maybe that, the Browns are in search of in identifying that guy and bringing that guy in here that hopefully can be your coach for 10 or 15 years and get you to the promised land. But like I said before, Dave, so much happens now. The variable of injuries, I don't think we ever, play up enough, and it impacts every single team, right? The variable of free agency, of owners and their willingness to spend or not spend, um, you know, personnel decisions, evaluating talent, all those components go into. You show me a good coach, I'll show you good players.